The narrative, the story you want to tell, it must support it. It's always film as much B-roll as possible and made the music and did this and that. All of this progress fully lost. What happens in scene 1 and what happens in scene 273? Alright filmmakers, Christian Schuh here, and let's cut straight to the chase. Today I'm gonna share my editing secrets that I wish I knew when I started with filmmaking. And with this said, I want to dive in directly and I want to tell you, when I started editing back then in 2015 with my little Sony laptop that was not capable of doing much graphics and my zero knowledge in Adobe Premiere Pro and filmmaking in general, it was a quite steep learning curve. So let me share with you one of the most important things that I learned with this. I've been filming. Back then I had an audio recorder and a Canon C100 Mark II, quite a nice camera that I used back then. So I was recording the audio separately from the video. And I always worked a lot with SD cards back then, only SD cards, no SSDs. They were way too expensive in 2015 and HDDs were too slow. So it was SD cards. I used one, I take it out from my Zoom recorder, put it into the camera and record, didn't think about that so much. But back home, I realized, wait a minute, where is actually my audio from 2 weeks ago? And yeah, it was there on this SD card that I formatted in the Canon C100. And I was like, holy crap. I found a solution with a program to recover those files, but that brought me to some important knowledge and to some important lessons. You have to back up everything. Let me tell you how I do that these days. I have an editing SSD, which is a small Samsung SSD with 4 TB on it. I have actually 4 of them, so it depends on the project I have. All of the files will be there. The bigger the project, of course, or the more SSDs I need. But those SSDs is just one source. You have to have 2 versions always of your footage at different places. In my case, this one SSD that I use for editing. Then I have another Synology NAS where I have all these files saved as a copy. And number 3, I have a server. Also, all these files saved safely. And that's the most important thing for me as I travel a lot, accessible everywhere in the whole world as long as I have an internet connection. All right, next point about my editing secrets that I wish I knew already at the beginning. And this one was a super painful one because I was so angry. I wanted to throw my laptop, and that was the only thing I had back then for editing. I wanted to throw it out of the window or hit somebody with it. Okay, so what happened? I had a normal editing day. That means everything will be dark and I only focused on my laptop from the morning until the evening. And when I started with it, I just had a little bit of the start of the film. At the end of the day, I almost had the whole film done. And then something happened. Back then, I said that before already, my Adobe Premiere Pro was running on a Windows computer. And it was standard, which I didn't know back then, that Adobe Premiere Pro crashes many times, especially on Windows, for, let's be honest, no reason. I don't know if they gotten better on Windows or not, as I'm using Macs now, but still, back then, I didn't. It crashed after 6 or 7 hours of time. And this whole process that I did, that I cut, that I edit, that I inserted pictures and clips and inserted transitions and made the music and did this and that, all of this progress was gone, fully lost. I tried to recover it, no chance. The program didn't save by itself. And that is the most important thing you need to activate maybe now. Maybe you pause the video now and you do that directly if you haven't done it yet. Premiere Pro has a function that is called autosave. It will save every 20 to 30 to 40 minutes depending on you. You can set that timer. It will save the file and honestly it will save your project and quite save your life. I wish I knew it back then. And even though there are some up and downsides to this, I will go through with you. For me, those upsides definitely overpower the downsides. The downsides are pretty simple. It interrupts you. You're in the middle of editing and you have some great idea and a dialogue appears, saving your file. Okay, then you go on after that, but you need to keep your mood, and sometimes this is really going on your nerves. It interrupts you, it's going on your nerves. The bigger the project is, the longer it takes to save. My project file nowadays, they are between 500 megabyte and 1 gigabyte of size, and that's taking quite a while. So I set this timer to 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes it will save. The saving process takes a few minutes. It takes usually like 2 to 3 minutes to save all of this, to like, I don't know how they do it, gather the data and save it, but they do it and they save me. And that's actually the upside to it. It saves you. It just saves you. The worst case in my setup is I need to recreate the last 29 minutes. Yeah, I can do that. It's a pain in the ass, but yeah, I can do that. But recreating a whole day, almost impossible to remember how it was done, how you did it before, and so on and so on. Number 4 of my editing secrets is the following point. I filmed an MLM event in Germany. It was a smaller event, and the problem of this event was that it was not very wow. It was a normal like conference hall, nothing fancy, nothing nicely set up, no special light show, nobody interesting on the stage, the speakers were super boring, and the action that happened, there was one only. There was a magician on the stage that was bending spoons. So I was there filming the whole day, and my task was to have a after movie, an event movie from this event that will attract other people to join for the next one, that will feel the people who weren't there, they will feel pity because, oh my God, I missed such a nice event. Just it wasn't a nice event. I decided after I've seen that a few hours and I've realized inside there is nothing happening. The speakers are boring and nothing is really happening. I decided to film as much B-roll as possible. I filmed just literally everything. I walked the hallway through to the event. I filmed signboards. I filmed expressions of the attendees. I filmed the location inside, outside, at the rooftop. I filmed everything. There was even a sky dancer at the entrance, you know, those kind of huge plastic bags that are using some fan to make funny movements, yeah, and attract the people to look there. Yeah, even this I filmed to at least have some B-roll. And that's actually what I want to tell you with this point here. Always, always, always film as much B-roll as possible. Even if you think you have too much or you have enough now. You have enough now? No. You film a little bit more. You have too much? All right, yes. Then you can slowly stop with this. Film everything. I can tell you, you can always delete it, but you can never recreate it from this day, because this day is like once in a lifetime. You have this opportunity to film, and you should film it as much as you can and as good as you can. All right, the next point on my list of editing secrets I wish I knew when I started is actually the same event. You see, I learned a lot at this event, at this MLM event in Germany. Due to the fact that I was told I will get the recording of the voice later on, after the event, I didn't use any lavalier microphone for the speaker or any handheld microphone for the speaker. All I had was, okay, a very, very good one, omnidirectional microphone for on top of my camera. But the camera was far, far, far away from the stage, and I still had to put in a few words of the speech of the CEO and of the speech of some speakers there, so it will make it a little bit more dynamic look. But it turned out that they didn't record the sound, and I was stuck with an audio from a microphone that was around 20 meters away from the stage to get any good sound. Especially as they were using microphones themselves for the stereo system in the hall so that the people can hear it. So the sound from this event was loud and roaring and a lot of echo, and I did the best that I could do with Adobe Audition and a lot of repair and fixing plugins that I got to know back then for the first time. Luckily, they are on the market. So, however, what I learned from this is never believe your client telling you, yeah, this is recorded, they will give you later. Take care of that by yourself. Make sure you have lavalier microphones there, make sure you have handheld microphones there, make sure you have a sound recorder connected to the mixer so you can directly record the sound that is coming out from the microphone on the stage. No matter it's a handheld microphone or a wearable microphone or a lavalier microphone, at least you have a sound you can work with. And when it comes to sound design, I don't only mean the audio recording of an event. Sound design is everything, from the music, from the sound effects, over the audio, over small little things you might not consider. And this is what I want to tell you at this moment as well. You have to make sure that you use a very good microphone for your audio recording. And when it comes to music and additional music you will use there for later, you need to make sure you use royalty-free music. Very important, otherwise you need to pay a lot of licensing fees, especially your client needs to do that later, and he will most probably never ask you again for help to film. The last part, what I want to tell you in this section about sound design is sound effects. Yes, you can enhance with sound effects, but it doesn't help if you put under every transition a swoosh, or if you put under every certain design element a rumble or an echo or this or that. It must be fitting. It must be fitting to the film, and most importantly, it must fit the story, the narrative, the story you want to tell. It must support it. If it stands out, it's not good, because the audience will realize there is something that doesn't belong there. But if it just blends in, that's the right thing to do. All right, let's come to the second most important point in editing secrets I wish I knew when I started. Imagine there is a street. In the middle is a river, left and right side cars are driving, pedestrians are walking, scooters rolling, and some cars parked there. It's a nice area. And you see all of this in wide angle, in one camera direction only, one cut, one view, one angle. A car is coming, hitting another car, having a car crash, and then this car is dropping into the water. And that's it, that's the scene. And all the people are like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But you see this from one angle only, from one camera perspective only. Does this action film actually work? Or how is it done? Usually it's done with a establishing shot at the beginning of this whole area. Then cut to a motorcycle driving, a car parking, somebody else getting out of the car, people talking in a cafe next to them. Then the car is introduced that is coming to be crashed. Then the other one is also shown that's going to be crashed. We have a camera inside of the car that will crash together. And all of this is happening at the same time, more or less. We have a few camera angles that are shot at the same time together. Like they crash here, they crash there, and all of this will be filmed from 5 or 6 perspectives. And then, what is done then? It's cut. Cut here, cut there, cut here, cut there, cut here again. All the time, the pace grows up, the action and the thrill will be more and more and more higher, and the time of cutting will be shorter. There might be only one scene that will be cut in 2 seconds, and another scene comes after that, and another 2 seconds, and another scene comes after that, and another 2 seconds, and another scene comes after this. So the pace will be increasing by cutting faster and faster. And that's my point. You have to cut to the action. Nowadays, the people have less attention span than before. We are talking about 3 to 5 seconds. That's why major Hollywood productions cut every 3 to 5 seconds. Imagine Alfred Hitchcock would still live today and would still film today. I think his movies would be super unsuccessful because the audience now feels that it's super boring to watch one scene without any cut for 5 or 10 minutes. It's almost impossible now to do that nowadays. So that's what I mean when I say you need to cut to the action. And of course, it must be fitting. That's most important. And to tell you something very, very honest and from my experience that I made from filming many events with a lot of German speakers, the less interesting content you have, the more action you need and the more cuts you will have to do. So if you have an event where a lot of things happening, you need less cuts than if you have an event where nothing actually is happening and moreover nothing interesting is happening. So that's what I always say. Less content, more cuts, more action. Okay, coming to the most important editing secret that I can tell you so far. Imagine you're coming to the set and you know exactly what you need to do. You have prepared everything so far. You have set up the right camera. You have set up the right audio equipment. The background is nice. Everything is good. You have a shot list that you can go through. You exactly know what happens in scene 1 and what happens in scene 273. You prepared and pre-played that through in your brain again and again and again. And that's what I can tell you is the most important point. Plan your film. I call it the magic of pre-planning. The magic of pre-planning means you know what your client wants. You know what the show is going to be and when it's going to happen. You know what speaker is coming up on stage and when he's coming up on stage. You exactly know the interview's question. You know the background already. You can set the mood accordingly before already. All of this is the magic of pre-planning, and it's so important to do that beforehand. And as this is the most important secret to professional and successful filmmaking, I want to give you a few more tips about that. You need to have it inside here, and you need to know your story. If you know your story, you can prepare everything accordingly. You can plan this through. Let me give you an example with transitions, for example. Transition from frame A to frame B, there is a car driving from the left to the right. So, of course, you will film accordingly, making a pan movement from left to right to cut exactly in the middle so it will look smooth. But you need to know that. You need to know that you want to do that in accordance to be able to do it directly on set and film that way. You have to do it in advance. You have to think about it in advance and you have to know this part of your film already. Imagine a Formula One driver. Maybe you've seen that before. Before they go to have the actual Formula One race, they sit in their car, in their Formula One sports car, they close their eyes and they are like, do like this. They imagine the whole track in front of their eyes and not imagine it, they know it. They know where is a curve. They know here they can drive 150 and here only 100. They know that exactly and they go through that again and again and again and again. So what's the Formula One's driver's imagination and memory in his head and this preparation and training? You have to prepare a shot list, especially for bigger productions. You have to prepare a shot list and you need to write down all what you want to film. Trust me, on set there will be enough changes that you do last minute anyway, because maybe this fits better or that fits better or here or there and you need to alter the shot list. So at least like you have the common thread in your head. You know what is following, B following after A, C following after B, and so on. You know the timeline, you know the outline, and you know your story and your film. I truly hope I was able to help you on your filmmaking journey with my video. If you liked this video and if it really helped you, I would really be happy if you also can help me and like the video and comment below. Subscribe to my channel Film Coach Chris if you want to know more and stay up to date with filmmaking tutorials and content about filmmaking, commercial filmmaking especially. And until I see you again, keep it rolling.